Turn it up. It's The Record Machine with your host, Jimmy Howell.
Sometimes I just don't give a damn. Can't you see we're all just common kind of men? Freedom, it don't come without a cause, and all the simple things just wind up getting lost. Those forgotten days of innocence and youth, when we used to speak our hearts and hear God's truth. Let the good word rain and reap the seeds we sow. Call the breeze that sets your feet down Freedom Road. Freedom Road, on and on we go. Through the wind and rain we forge into the storm. Freedom Road, you hold my gypsy soul, like the wayward drifter makes his way back home. As the days go by, I seek the ways of truth. In the wake of unhinged minds and forlorn fools, with all the games that people play, we're standing tall. Even if it means that we must stand alone. Freedom Road, on and on we go. Through the wind and rain we forge into the storm. Freedom Road, you hold my gypsy soul, like the wayward drifter makes his way back home. Sometimes I just don't give a damn, when nothing seems to make no common kind of sense. 'Cause freedom, it don't come without a cause. May the good Lord give us strength when we get lost. Freedom Road, on and on we go. Through the wind and rain we're rolling through the storm. Freedom Road, you own my gypsy soul. Call the breeze that sets your feet down Freedom Road.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cory M. Coons to the program. How you doing, Cory?
Doing awesome. The sun is shining. It's a relatively warm day in Ontario, so we're doing okay.
Yeah, did you do anything special today?
Not a whole lot. Same old stuff. Some homeschooling with my daughter this morning. My wife's home today, so they're outside, and then they just took a little drive into town. So we're just hanging out, and I'm hanging out myself right now.
No, the last time we spoke was April of 2020 on the air. What have you been up to since then?
Well, pretty much probably the same thing we were talking about. Staying home a lot. I work from home with some guitar teaching that I do here. Plus, homeschooling with my daughter. And I had a few shows last year. I was fortunate enough to get out at the end of the summer and do 3 private parties sort of thing, like some acoustic venue shows. So that turned out okay. Mm-hmm. So I've kind of been sticking close to home. I haven't been performing anywhere. I've just decided to lay low and, focus on, releasing the single, Freedom Road, the new song that we have out. So I'm just focusing on promoting that. And it's going very well so far with Michael and MTS and, day by day. Yeah.
Speaking of the song Freedom Road, that song is going to be featured in this podcast with another single of yours called Far Away. What's the story behind those 2 songs?
Well, Far Away was the single that I put out, I guess it was early 2021, so early this year. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a fun sort of song, fun story, because it's a 30-year-old song that I wrote back in my high school days. So I'm dating myself pretty good here now. But it's a 30-year-old song I decided to sort of re-record and make an acoustic version of it. And was recorded all at home here, just in my home little studio setup that I have. And I had my daughter, Charlie, sing some harmonies on it. I wanted to make it sort of a family project. And so that song it turned out really well. And just one of those very, warm family projects to have her involved. And then I'm just really happy with the way that turned out. And we kept her busy, and with being home all the time, gets her involved in doing some extracurricular activity too, So that's the story with that one. And then with Freedom Road, we just released that on October 1st. So that's sort of, Freedom Road sort of tells the story of, you don't take freedom for granted these days, pretty much, and all the simple things that maybe we have taken for granted over the last few decades, that they're very fragile at this time. I think it really speaks to the heart. Like I said, a lot of the anger, frustration, and confusion that people are feeling. What's been going on. So,
is there a music video for Freedom Road?
We have a lyric video, which I'm really proud of as well. A couple of friends of mine from the band Walker's K, who are also another MTS label group, and friends of mine. My good friend Gary Labar, who's from Oshawa, Ontario, just the Greater Toronto area. So my friend Gary and Mike Swain, they both put that video together for me, and I'm really, really pleased with it. And Gary took some time just researching some really cool footage to put in that, and I think it turned out great. I think the message really conveys itself, and hopefully people can gain some strength and some light from a dark time maybe in Canada right now. Anyway,
how do you approach songwriting? What's your creative process like?
Well, it's different for everyone, Jimmy. I don't really have a cookie cutter approach. Some songs come from just telling a good story. And if I want to convey a good story, that there's an idea that pops into my head about something. Sometimes titles will just pop into my head, and then I'll work, like a song arrangement on the guitar around that sort of idea for a title. Or other times it's just melodies pop into my head. But like I say, there's no cookie cutter sort of way that I do it. I think each one's different. I'm inspired by lots of different things. Sometimes family, like I've had songs that I wrote about my parents over the years, who passed on. So sort of like tribute stuff, and things that are close to home sometimes, or maybe just things that I read or that I see or hear that are happening. So yeah.
You've been nominated for multiple Josie Awards and the International Singer-Songwriters Awards. Also, you've won the prestigious Producer's Choice honors for your work with legendary rock producer Ron Nevison. What's that like?
Well, Ron was awesome. If you're not familiar with Ron over the years, he's had multiple decades of producing like melodic rock artists and classic rock bands going way back to the 70s with like Bad Company and Led Zeppelin, Kiss and The Who, and all through the 80s with Ozzy Osbourne and Heart. So he was just really one of those producers, was like a dream producer for me that I kind of envisioned that I would like to work with, because I'm inspired by so much melodic rock stuff over the years, like commercial radio rock stuff, right, that I grew up listening to, and the classic rock thing. So he was one of those guys, and I just sort of, I researched him out, and we kept in touch on the internet through some different sort of like platforms, like Sonic Bids and stuff for independent artists where you can send people your music, and or like a producer's looking for something or other, like Ron was on there, and I kept in touch with him right up until probably around 2013 when I reached out, and he had moved from Los Angeles to San Francisco at that point. So I reached out to him, and he'd gotten back to me, and he said, he really likes my stuff, and he always liked my voice, and he thought it would be, I said, would you like to work together? And he said, yeah, we can set something up, and let's do that. So we set up the 3-song EP at that time in 2014, which is Share a Little Time. So we did that, and I got the chance to go to California and do that in early 2014, and then got to go back 2 more times that year to experience the LA Music Awards. So it was certainly a real blessing and certainly a great benefit to have Ron Nevison involved, with the production.
That's pretty cool. What would you rather achieve? Make a record that sells 500,000 copies or make a record that influences 5,000 bands or artists?
Well, do you want the political answer, the politically correct answer, or the truthful answer? I think, 5,000, or how many did you say? 500,000 units?
What would you rather achieve? Make a record that sells 500,000 copies or make a record that influences 5,000 bands or artists?
Well, obviously, if you were able to sell 500,000 units, it would be really cool budget-wise. Depending on if you're still independent, you're not signed to a record label, you would probably do all right. But these days, I think reaching 500,000 people is totally amazing. I think getting your songs and your message out there and being able to resonate with somebody, and if you can do that, that's the number one job as a songwriter, I think, right? So I don't know. I think it's never really been truly about just the money for me. So I think reaching people would probably take priority over that. But of course, selling lots of units would be great too. So
if you could do a collaboration with any artist, alive or dead, who would it be?
I got this question the other day. That's a great question. There's a few for sure. Tom Petty comes to mind. I would have loved to have a chance to, work with Tom Petty on something, or going way back to my early childhood days of listening to music. There was Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, very, very melodic harmonies and all that type of thing would be great to try to work something with. And, people in the past, like Bon Jovi was a big influence on my songwriting, probably. People now that I would like to work with, like, I got the chance to hang out. Well, not to hang out, but I met Chris Golden, who's a son of William Lee Golden. He got to play on the last couple of songs I released, actually. Or I shouldn't say it. I got him to play on them, I should say, which was very fortunate for me because he did drums and piano and keyboard all on the newest song, Freedom Road, for us. So Chris Golden is an amazing entertainer. He's a gospel artist, country gospel. Grew up on Southern rock, and I've kept in good touch with Chris. He's been a great friend that way, and I think to do a show with him sometime would be really cool down the road, and really get to meet him and his family again. We got to see him when we was in Tennessee. We went to see him at a church doing a performance there, so that was pretty cool stuff too. So.
Do you collect a lot of instruments?
Well, I have my guitars, and I have my bass that I have. So I have, I guess, about 6 guitars, 3 electric guitars and 3 acoustics. And then I have my bass guitar, and then I have a mandolin.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I have, of course, my band set up outside. Like I have a little shed here on my farm property that I have. Basically my band room now that we have set up out there, and I have like a set of drums and bass amps and guitar amps, and it's basically a full rehearsal room sort of thing.
Wow.
I don't know if I'd say I'm a collector. All the instruments I have, I like to play them so they don't hang on a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there an instrument or a piece of gear that you've always wanted, but you haven't been able to get yet?
Well, to own like one of the classic, like the real Gibson Les Pauls, or the real, like I have some Telecasters, which I really like. But to have a real American Strat or a Telecaster someday would be really cool, and I would love to play them. Not just, like I said, not just have them hanging around. They'd be put to good use for sure. So those types of things are pretty cool. Maybe like a Fender jazz bass would be kind of cool to have too.
When you're not recording music, what do you like to do for fun away from music?
Well, I really enjoy spending time with the family, with my wife and daughter. We have a lot of good time together, and enjoying these years. I think with my daughter right now, being home over the last 18 to 20 months, that's in a way, that's a really good thing. I think to be able to experience, keeping close with her and doing things together as a family. I mean, I don't play a lot of sports. I do like to get out and do some soccer with her because she likes to play soccer. So we've had her involved in youth soccer the past couple of years. So taking her to that is pretty cool, and getting to experience the family thing there too. I like to watch old movies and stuff, and I watch Tubi there now quite a bit. So find some old movies on there.
Oh, you're watching Tubi?
Yeah, I do. I like to watch some stuff on there sometimes.
Yeah, we have that.
Checking out music, checking out new music sometimes if I find, and listening to your shows. I get to check out some really cool artists. Pretty awesome to hear some of the stuff you bring on your show.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I love talking to people like yourself and, all the great people that have been on my show. I think it's great. I mean, get to share everyone's story and their music.
Well, I appreciate it. And it's really great to have a cool outlet like yours. And, you make us feel at home, and it's very cool, and you're easy to talk to. And I love it. It's just great.
I try to just be as easygoing as possible, just to break the ice and, people feel comfortable. Sometimes I'll get people, it's hard. At first, and then once they realize it's okay, then they warm up to you,
Exactly. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think sometimes they get a little nervous, talking to somebody. They don't necessarily do it a lot, so maybe it's a little uncomfortable for them. I don't know. But
yeah, it can be a daunting thing for some people, I think. Like when I first started doing some interviews, it's kind of like you're wondering, well, what are we going to talk about? And what are the questions going to be? But I think if you're just honest, like I try to be as honest as I can when I talk to people. And I think it shows in the music, at least I hope so. If you come across as an honest guy or an honest person, an honest artist, number one, like people can kind of see through if it's fake or.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're easy to talk to on the air, but how are you in person? Like when you perform, do you still get nervous, or you never even got nervous as a performer?
I do, actually. I have a little bit of nerves before any show that I do still. I think it's a healthy thing. It's more of like an excitement nervous. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a sick feeling nervousness, but just, or complete stage fright, nothing like that. But just, I think it keeps you enough on edge that if you're a little bit nervous as soon as you start your show, you get into it and then you kind of settle down after the first song or two, and then you get a little more comfortable. I think it really brings that edge when you start out to have a little bit of that. I think you're overconfident maybe if you're too, if you're not nervous at all. I mean, you just kind of go like, whatever. It's like, well, maybe there's a bit of overconfidence in there. So
how do you have a ritual that you do before you go out, before you perform a show to try to calm your nerves?
I don't know if there's a ritual. I think, it's kind of different. I like to just kind of be off the side of the stage and just kind of be as loose as I can and chat with, if I have my buddy Kevin out with me who plays like a cajon or a djembe for the acoustic shows, we'll just kind of hang and just chat a little bit, and if it's a full band thing, kind of the same idea, just kind of off to the side of the stage. I don't drink much. I might have like an occasional alcoholic drink after the show or something, but never before. And so try to keep it calm, and yeah.
What's your drink of choice when you have one?
Oh, probably a beer or something, or, nothing real heavy as far as I never was a big drinker, so more of a social thing, yeah.
So what can people expect when they go to see a Cory Coons show?
Well, hopefully, like I said, just the honesty in the music, and I just really, really like to resonate with fans and with people that are there. I like to interact with people from the stage sometimes if you can, in between the songs, or after the show or in between the sets. Just bring a positive message. I really, really try to be positive in my songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, times when you have to, sometimes bring forth some negativity here and there with things that might be happening. But I think if you can bring a positive twist or a spin on it, I think that's important these days, because I think people like to get away because music is an escape for most people.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to steer clear of the politics and everything too. I really don't get political in any of my music. So
yeah,
positive message, really.
What is your opinion on that? Politics and music, do you think they go together?
I really don't. I mean, I think everybody has to have their own opinion. I mean, obviously you've got a personal life aside from your artistic life or whatever you're doing. So I think you should have your opinions, and I agree with that. I mean, it's tough because there's certain artists out there right now who I probably would really, really agree with, with some things that they're doing, with standing up for freedom and stuff right now. I'm not going to name names, obviously, or anything, but
right.
I think that they have a right to do that. I think that that's an important thing right now. I don't think that's political necessarily, though. I think that, if you get behind like one or the other in your music, then it becomes political. And there's some artists that maybe I've kind of, maybe not lost respect, but I've maybe kind of veered away from as much with more of their recent music, again, not naming names, but I think it kind of gets away from the escape for going to listen to the music. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, that's the whole reason why we're doing it. I mean, I think when it gets to the point where, you turn on the radio and the disc jockey is being political, in between songs, or if you go to a show and people are doing that as well, I don't know. I just kind of think it defeats the purpose. I mean, the whole idea of of us listening to music or maybe going, to a show or something like that is to get away from stuff like that. We don't want to jam down our throat, 24/7,
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel too.
I mean, I think you agree with me, right?
Yeah, no, I do 100%. I mean, there are certain artists that, they're really touching on some realities too. And I think that's important as well. I think if they can maintain that it's not about one side or the other, and they can kind of keep the message that, they're just shining a light on what's happening, I think that's okay. That's cool. But when you start like getting behind a certain person or something, and then it just kind of loses the whole artistic thing about it, maybe gets lost in the creative thing if you're just trying to portray a political, platform or something.
Are you working on anything right now that you want to share?
Well, I have some new stuff that I've kind of had on the back burner, and just, it's hard to, I'm not going to say hard to find the time, but it's maybe hard to, not to get inspired, but to get that fire that maybe wants me to push more to get out when I'm really unsure as to where the landscape is going in the new year with live performances and stuff. I'm hoping it's still going to turn around. Like you said, where you guys are, things have turned around big time. So that's great. I'm still a little uneasy here in Ontario and in Canada. I really don't know. There's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of I don't know what you would say. It's like division, I guess, in some ways too, so but I do have songs, and some of them that kind of had on the back burner for the last year or two. I do have new ideas that come in all the time, so we'll see what develops. Probably another single, maybe in the new year, I'm hoping.
That's pretty cool. Ever consider moving to the United States?
Well, I toy with that idea every day. But we've got so much, where I live is a big farm property, and it's out in the open, so we're very, very fortunate here with the space. And, I love being here. But as far as the musical opportunities lately, places like, Nashville and Tennessee, or even getting to Florida where things seem to be just crazy open. I'd love to spend more time in the United States for sure, because I've only been able to get there for a couple weeks here and there. And I'd love to travel and be able to perform in the United States. Someday down the road. That
would be pretty cool. Do you have a website you'd like to promote?
Yeah, my official website is www.corymcoons.com. You can find everything there. If you want to go and check out the Spotify stuff, or all, the YouTube links and the iTunes and everything's all on the landing page when you get there. The audio section has all the physical stuff if you want to purchase CDs. And at one time, had some vinyl on there that I could ship out to people. Yeah, so stuff like that, definitely.
Yeah, I got a copy of that.
I remember that. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
one of the only interviewers that I remember after the very first interview that you said right away, you're like, I want to order 2 of your CDs. That was the very first time. I thought that was the coolest thing, because nobody does that in big time media and stuff. They would never do that. So that's
I think I got 2 of your CDs, and I bought one of your albums too.
Bought an album. That's right. Next time. So, and I appreciate that very much for doing that. Thank you.
No problem, man. That's that's what people need to do. They need to buy product. That's how people like yourself make a living, right?
Yeah, we appreciate it, because with the lack of shows, it's hard to get out and sell merchandise too.
Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about today?
Well, I'd just like to thank everyone for the last few years for the support. I mean, and with Michael Stover at MTS as well for hooking up all the promo stuff here, and all his hard work and support for independent artists. Thank you very much, Michael, for that. And just all the people for listening and tuning in and supporting my music. Everyone who checks in on my social media. I'm pretty active on Facebook and stuff. I have my 2 pages there. I have my music page, and then just my personal page that I interact quite a lot with. There's an Instagram page I have too. So just thanks everybody for for your support. It means a lot.
That's awesome. Well, Cory, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. It's good catching up with you, my friend.
It is. I like keeping in touch with you for sure. It's great. Always appreciate coming to chat with you.
All right, man. Well, anytime you want to come back on, just give me a holler. We always talk on Facebook anyway. So
yeah.
So it's good to hear your voice, my friend.
You too, man. You take care, and all the best, and keep the great shows coming.
All right, man. Thank you. You stay safe.
You too. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Up in the morning guess it must be true. Is it too late to say that we could find a way to make it through? Because I need you so. I'm out here all alone without you. But you've got no more love to give me. At least that's what you say. I can't go on pretending you're so far away. I just need somebody, but who would care for me? And living in my daydream is just so easy to see. Am I a fool for love, or could something from above shine on me? I've got to hold on, got to hold on to my dream. And you know someday I will find it, I will find the way. But I can't go on pretending you're so far away. Oh, so far away. Now I wake up in the morning, I know I'm gonna make it through. And I look outside my window, yes, I know it's true. It was too late to say that we could find a way to make it through. But now I can say that I have found a way without you. 'Cause you've got no more love to give me. At least that's what you say. I can't go on pretending you're so far away. All the nights I loved you, I can only say that I can't go on pretending. Oh, you're so far away. So far away. Oh, so far away.